partner Seth.
Yeah, let's go. Craig.
Just part of what we do, identify ourselves as special agents. Joseph Warpinski, Seth Goodwin. I'm going to take some bio information from you. Like I said, I explained to him we're putting him in as a source number. That one of the reports are going to reflect that. All of our interviews get recorded.
Okay.
That will all go under a source file. That won't go into a case file. So it's not like they could look at this recording of the interview or anything like that.
Okay.
So when I take your bio information, just know that it's protected in the same way.
Okay.
NCIS, we already kind of have our approach we're going to take on this. We've got an agent in country right now. We've got 3 of us right now in our office that are going to work this. And so we're throwing a lot of resources at this. So this is something we're obviously taking very serious because this is a huge issue. What I want to do is I want you to just go through, tell me a story, and then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, kind of follow up, get some clarification, and then Seth's probably going to do the same thing.
Okay.
So if you want to just, with as many details as you can, just go through the story first of all, what happened.
Okay. I brought my notes just because.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And he's probably be taking notes. I mean, for the most part, I'll be kind of listening to you.
I just jotted this stuff down this morning, so I didn't mess up. Okay, so in early May, first of all, my platoon we were in Badouche, Mosul. Okay, so I was the LPO, Eddie was the chief, and then Tom McNeil, AOIC, and then Jake Portillo was the OIC.
Okay.
And when I wasn't the LPO, it was Christopher Shoemake or Dalton Tolbert.
Okay.
So we went out. We were doing triple E or triple A, and we went out with Iraqis. We set up at a building, and the building overlooked some low ground, and there was high ground kind of going away.
Okay.
So we set like up some positions that were a little bit forward of the building, and then set up some mortars to the right, and then had like a little bit of security set up with vehicles.
Okay.
ISIS was kind of like fleeing at that point, and we were, I believe it was airstrikes, probably mortars, and that kind of thing, trying to crush them. And I'm not sure what time of day it was, but it was like daylight. Maybe it was like around, I don't know, it was during like afternoon.
Okay.
And I was at the main element, kind of going between the mortars and this vehicle, and I see a Humvee come in with like a bunch of Iraqis on it. There were like Iraqi soldiers, and I didn't. It's not like necessarily like a good thing when people are like driving into like your little area and stuff. We were co-located with Iraqis, but it was kind of weird that they drove in. Went over there, and there was a young, like probably like 16-year-old or whatever, that they like pulled off the hood and like laid him on the ground, and I look over and Eddie was there, and I thought that was weird because I was with the main element and Eddie was supposed to be like the forward element.
Okay.
So I just didn't understand why he was there, and I had heard nothing over comms saying anything, and
you think he came back on that Humvee? He was with that group?
I mean, I couldn't picture.
Okay.
Yeah. So he started like providing like medical aid, and I can't remember if there was another medic. I don't know who it was. It might have been Corey Scott that was there, or like TC. I'm not sure. But yeah, he was like, he had like a hurt leg. I think it was left or right, I can't remember, but he had a hurt leg. And so I can't remember everybody who was like there, but there was like a bunch of Iraqis. There was like a bunch of Iraqi soldiers.
Okay.
And they were like hollering and stuff like that. And this who I assumed was captured, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was, I guess, in a considerable amount of pain, and he like, as Eddie was like putting like a bandage on his leg, he like kind of like raised up and kind of like went over to Eddie, kind of like to grab him or whatever. And I had just walked up and I saw that, and I took my leg and just pushed him back down.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie was like working on him. There was another medic there, and then this medical scene wasn't like I'm not a medic, and as LPO, there's other stuff going on, so I removed myself from that picture because I had nothing to add to it.
Okay.
And I left, and I think I like had some food, and then went back to as I was eating, probably like, I'm not sure exactly, but I was working out of another vehicle further down, and there was a wall, and we were going to bust through this wall to get a path, because if we went around the other way, we were getting shot at. So we had the mortars back here, so I was helping like bust through this wall, whatever. Fast forward, I don't know how long, but I was back at the vehicle, and by this time, there wasn't anybody over. It was just the Humvee. I looked over, and I could just see the Humvee, and I was walking behind the Humvee and around it, and it's parked like this. Walking around it, and then I look down, and I see this person laying there, and he had like bandages on his leg or whatever, and I see Eddie laying over him with the knife sticking into his neck.
Okay.
Corey Scott was right there. He, I was like pretty like shocked by the whole thing, and Corey, I could tell that like Corey was like, kind of like maybe freaking out a little bit, what Eddie just did, and there's nothing I could do at this point, and so I left that scene and just tried to like catch my breath and like try to like just think about what I just saw, and I went, caught my breath, and then told Jake, who I went to go in this building, and then was walking around this building trying to find Jake, and it was the ROIC, and I can't remember like everything I said to him, but I told him, and I was like, we gotta get out of here, and we gotta get this stuff, because we're not doing anything at this point. We have like this stuff going on, and like we need to get the hell out of here. And like the Iraqis were there, and I don't know what, like, it was not good. We were there for a specific reason, and what was going on was not what we were there to do. So at that point, like I told Jake, like, we need to get out of here, and so I went down. I'm like, hey, let's go. Let's pack up all this stuff, and because I was part of the mortar team, so we were doing that, and at that point, I remember I came back, and Jake was doing Eddie's reenlistment ceremony.
That same day?
That same day, at that same spot. And I was listening to it, and I was just thinking, like, this is the most disgraceful thing I've ever seen in my life. Because there's a lot to that, and
they do it with the body right there and everything?
Yeah, the body was right there. And then I just remember, like, this is so bad. And then guys were like, I'm not sure, like, who, I think it was Jake, taking a picture of Eddie, probably like sign in or whatever, and or raising his hand, I don't know, but Jake was like, brought everybody in, or the guys that are right there, is like, bring it in, and then like they did like all the people that were there, he's like, bring it in, and I remember thinking, like, man, Eddie, if he knows that I know this, and if I like.
So were they trying to act like it was something they were proud of, and then, I mean, this body's still laying right there?
I think Jake's like a good person,
Mm-hmm.
I think Eddie was proud of it. And I think that that was like part of it for him, and this guy's freaking evil, man. So,
yeah, keep going if you need to. I mean, there are a lot of things we're gonna have to go through and talk about. So if you want to keep going, and then
yeah. So anyways, Jake's like, bring it in for this, and I just remember thinking, like, I have to freaking, So I stood in the back and just kind of like, and then after that picture, I don't know if that honestly, I don't know if it was actually taken or if that was just, I don't know. I don't even know what to think about that whole thing. But I just felt like I didn't have a choice there. And I freaking, after that, I was like, we need to go. We need to leave. This is just turned into something that's just, like, we're
Did you guys take off after that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And just leave the body there?
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, I'm just trying to, like, process everything, you know, think about, like, what I saw, and, you know, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what I need to do. And so we get back, and I don't remember the order that this was done in. I've tried to think about it this morning. I just can't remember the exact order this was done in. But I talked to Eddie, and I believe it was that night or the night after. I don't know, but it was in a very short amount of time. And I think he could tell that I was, like, pretty. He could tell that I was off, you know. And he, like, came in, and he was like, yeah, I told him that, you know, the guys were not good with what happened today. And he's like, who's not good with it? And I didn't want to tell him, you know, everybody. And I said, I'm not good with it. And he was, I can't remember exactly what was said during that conversation, but I told him that I wasn't good with that. And he, at the end of it, I remember him saying, like, stop worrying about it. And he said stop, not to worry about it. And then the other part to it that I was alarmed by was, and I can't remember how I got this impression right now, but I got the impression that he was going to do it again, and that he had some deal worked out with the Iraqis to where they were going to, like, bring him prisoners. And so I was like, this can't, you know, this can't happen. So I went to Tom McNeil, who was our AOIC, and I reported it to him, like, making sure that, you know, because I felt like at that time, like, everyone was pretty much kind of knew what Eddie had done, but I wanted to make sure that there weren't any questions there. So I went to Tom, and I told him, you know, what had happened, and that we have to make sure that Eddie doesn't do this again, and that, you know, we had to do something about this, that kind of thing. And I'm pretty sure he told Jake, our ROIC. And so I also reported it to Jake. Now,
this is the second time you reported to Jake, because you told him in the field when it originally happened, correct?
Yes, I just can't remember exactly
how you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
And yeah. So, okay, this is important. So, I pulled the platoon in when Eddie was gone. He, like, went to go talk. I pulled the platoon in, and I told them that, you know, they were aware of what happened at that point, you know. And I told them that we can't, you know, however you feel about this, we can't let this continue, like, morally.
Yeah. And
you know, it's like our duty, it's our job to not let this continue. So I said that from now on, if you ever see and the Iraqis bringing somebody away, you send them away, you intercept that, and you send them away immediately. And I was, like, really proud of the guys, because everyone was, like, on board with that. And no one was, like, you know, everyone was, like, basically wanted to make sure it didn't happen again. And I just remember being really proud. So I told them that to not go over comms, and to basically sit, like, we set a perimeter kind of like around Eddie at that point, and that if they would bring back to the ME, that you'd intercept that some way immediately.
Yeah.
So, and I went and talked to the Iraqis, and I told them when we were actually out in the field that they cannot bring us anybody like that. That they can't bring us. We can't accept that. Like, we can't accept detainees or anything. And I think that I remember it was like pretty. Because I asked like what they did to detainees, and the Iraqis said that they take them back and there's a trial, and then they'll be, ISIS will be found guilty and then might be put to death.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus, like these Iraqis have like a good idea of democracy. You know what I mean? Like,
at least something.
And so after that stuff, I fly home in I think it was June for my son. He was born, and then I was home for a little bit, and then I flew back, and I was in Chikan. So the guys were in Platoon, and I was in Chikan, and I got back, and I like heard like more rumors and stuff like that of Eddie like targeting civilians and stuff like that.
As in he'd done it multiple times, and continued to do this exact same thing
To
civilians, or
are you saying like no? I'm not talking about, this is different. So the detainee, there was that incident,
Yeah.
and then I got back and I like heard basically rumors that Eddie was targeting civilians.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
On the battlefield.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And so I remember I got back and I was in Badoosh. I'm not sure exactly when, but Eddie came up to me after an operation and said that he'd killed 4 women a day. And I said, why the fuck did you do that? And he said, well, I shot warning shots. And I just walked away and walked into my room, and then talked to Dylan DeLay. What the hell are we gonna, what are we gonna do about this? And the snipers were like, they stopped basically going after ISIS, and they were like, I guess, trying to shoot the warning shots to get the civilians away from Eddie. So they were trying to protect like the civilian populace from Eddie. I talked to Tom and Jake about this, and
You need to take a break in the appointment and can't. I can. Obviously, this is some big shit, so take your time.
Sorry, fellas, I just.
Don't worry, man.
It's
You
like
don't have
the
to.
first time I'm.
You another bottle of water,
broke
really?
up about this.
Yeah. You want some more water?
I'll go right now. So Jake assured me that he was like doing something about this, and I remember him like alluding to him like reaching out to somebody, like I think he was talking about Rob Bryce, our troop commander, for advice, and so I was under the impression that something had been done at that point. That that there was an investigation that was working itself. He said this stuff was going to take time, and I just was kind of surprised by how long time this was taking, And I don't know what this is supposed to look like. I just didn't feel good about any of it. So we flew home, and I was on leave, and I just didn't feel good about it. from leave, and I talked to Brian Alzali, my SCA, and I told him everything. And I remember Jake walked in, like, and that was the third deck classroom, and it's like, shit, like, I don't know, like it's just, you know, this thing is just, I don't know if, like, if Jake's, like, actually done something about this, because he came back down after that, like, he came up and he was like, you know, what did you say or whatever, and I started feeling like maybe Jake hadn't actually, like, I didn't know what had or hadn't been done. And I remember when Jake was down in the high bay, and there was other people in there, and I said in front of all the guys that were in there, and I was like, I told Jake, you know, Jake, Eddie did this and he did that, and like just laid it out there, like, I'm telling you right now, again, you need to, like, do something about this. And
what was his response?
He said that he concluded or said that something was getting done, because I walked away feeling like he was going to do something about it. And he went up. I know that they had a meeting up in the troop office, and I was worried because I thought maybe Eddie was in that meeting or something, you know, and then he would find out that, you know, that I was doing about this. And he came out. I remember he came up to me, Jake, and Tom, and said that he said that if we spoke up, that he's gonna bring all of us down. And you know, I was thinking, well, I already freaking have spoken up like several times by now. And so he found Corey Scott in the hallway, because I guess the rumors were starting to spread, and I guess they got around to him. And he found Corey Scott in the hallway and said that if he found out, like, who was talking, or if he found out who spoke up or something like that, that he was gonna kill us. And so that's something that he'd be aware of, you know, because I don't know. It's one thing to, like, come after me, but my family, you know.
100% get your concern. How long ago did that stuff happen?
That was in, that was after we were back and leave and everything, so I want to say that was in late September or something like that.
Okay.
But again, like, that may have been in October. I'm not good with,
Yeah.
I don't know the exact time.
A general time frame, that's what I was trying to figure out.
So, went on leave, and I felt good, because I felt like something was getting done. I felt like Eddie was, like, pretty evil, and if he's in charge of people, you know. So I went to a new job over at Puds. I never saw or heard from Eddie again after that, and in that period. And I felt like, you know, I felt good, and then I got word that Eddie was, like, possibly getting, like, a silver star, and he was over at Sauk as an instructor or something like that. And I just, like, couldn't believe that was happening. So felt pretty defeated. Wasn't sure what to do. So I was in an instructor course, and one of the other guys in Platoon was in there too, friends. We were in the same platoon. He was over there. He wasn't there that day that Eddie did that stuff, but, you know, he saw things that Eddie had done other times that, you know, he's pretty shook up about. And so, we're talking to friends, and like we need to do something, because I don't know like where the investigation's at this point, and like I don't know like really just what's going on, and we just have to do something. So we went to the troop commander, Rob Reich. I went to him, and I told him that we were like going to go to group, and we like I guess part of it was seeing like kind of where the investigation was at. I figured he would know something, and I wanted, so I went. I told him everything, and then I get a call from Master Chief Al-Azawi, and I got the impression from Al that that stuff was getting done, and to not like don't go to group, because that's just not how I guess it works. And like there's the chain of command. He's like, so basically like yeah, whatever. So later on, Al came over and met with me. I talked to Bryce again and gone over this like what happened, and I talked to Al. I'm not sure like the time frame on that. I talked to Al over at second phase, and he's like kind of putting putting me at ease, and the platoon at ease, I guess, because he's like, hey, stuff's like getting done. Do not, here's the deal. Don't go to the Commodore, and we're moving forward on this. Like Eddie's getting pulled from Salk, like he's blacklisted. You know what I mean? Like he's not. Don't worry, he's not going to a team. That kind of thing. And so yeah, so I like I told the guys, I was like, hey, here's the deal. We're gonna let the whole thing continue, right? And but yeah, don't go to the Commodore. That says there's a process and it needs to follow the process.
Did you feel they were trying to cover it up?
I didn't get that impression.
Okay.
And so yeah, I talked to the guys and basically said, hey, we just gotta wait, and this is good, like it's moving in the right direction, like this is closure, that kind of thing, like this is good. And let's see. So the chain of command has to work, and there is a possibility of a meeting with Master Chief Ward. He's like the Commodore's Master Chief or whatever.
Okay.
Like just saying that maybe they basically hear our story, and we're just like kind of like not really sure how this process is supposed to work. But so I'm not really sure where things are at this point. I had heard that Eddie was pulled from Salk, and that maybe they were going to put him out of state, and which was to be like a really good thing, because he won't be around us and that kind of thing. Just like get him out of here. And friends and I went to talk with Mags. He's like he's a really respected SEAL, and we were kind of just talking with him, and he's a civilian now, so we didn't go into like a lot of detail. Mm-hmm. But we just kind of, again, just I don't know what this process is supposed to look like, so we want to make sure that we're doing it right. And so talked to Mags, and he was like, basically saying that like investigations are, these are good things, and that this, that, and the other. And he was like, you know where it's at? And I said, I didn't know where this is at, and I feel good that their higher ups are doing this, that kind of thing. And then I get a call from Al saying he wants to meet with the platoon, and so meet with Al and Rob at the Donnell classroom over at Bud's, and it was me and like a bunch of other guys in the platoon, and they were like, basically trying to explain to us like maybe the differences between like investigations or something like that. Like I don't really understand. I'm not very good with this legal stuff.
Okay.
So whatever. There's that, and then they were like, yeah, if you guys, if what you're saying is true or whatever, then you need to like launch an investigation. And we're like thinking like, how the hell do we do that? Like, how do we freaking launch it? Like, is there a freaking button that we push to launch an investigation? Like, how do I do this? And like this has been going on for so long now. And so we're like, well, I guess Jake can launch the we were like, Jake can launch the, because Jake wasn't there. Like, well, Jake can launch the investigation. And so we pulled Jake in the next day, and Jake was like, okay, then basically we're like, okay, let's do this. You have to do this, or we're just gonna like, I don't know, go tell more people, I don't know. And Jake met with the CO and former CO and former CMC of SEAL Team 7. And I'm not sure what happened during that. And then I met with Jake and Rob the next day, and I guess this is Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake said that he didn't bring up this, and I'm like, what the hell did you do? Like we talked about this. Like, you're supposed to launch this, like send this up, and then I don't know, like there's supposed to be an investigation, and Mags was talking about, and they're like, okay, all right. So basically, I guess Rob was in there, and he was like, okay, so I guess the way to do this would be like send an email or something like that. And so he sent an email to I don't know who, someone that would launch it. I don't know.
One of your legal people, probably. Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that it was clear that I didn't know what should go in the email. And
did you send it to him, or did you send it to Rob, or did Rob send it off himself?
I don't know if Rob sent it or if Jake sent it, but it was on Rob was typing on his computer, and he was like, okay, so SO1 Miller, me, witnessed Eddie Gallagher basically like stab a prisoner in the neck or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, yes. And I was like, and I knew that Corey Scott, like he had already come forward like several times, and I'm like, Corey Scott's a witness too. And he's gonna tell the truth, and he needs to be on there. And so that was done, and then I get a call last night. You called me and said that the investigation's being launched, and I'm like, okay, well, this is good. This is where it's supposed to go, and I'm nervous, because I don't know anything about this stuff, and like there's a lot at stake.
Absolutely.
And I get a call from Jake's lawyer, I guess, or not, or I don't know who he was, just someone that was like working with Jake. And
he called you?
Yeah, Jake called me and said,
do you remember his name?
That I needed to get a lawyer or something, and I just didn't understand why I needed a lawyer. I don't like it when, you know what I mean? Like, why would I need one?
Was his name Brian Ferguson?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Brian called me that night. I was like sitting there with my wife, and I'm like, what? Like, why would I need one? Like, I don't understand this. And like, I was just trying to think through everything. And he called me and said that you guys are gonna, twist stuff around, and I mean, I don't know. He's a shady guy. I don't know.
So I see you have 31 Bravo rights written right there. Is he the one who mentioned that?
Yeah, he did. And I went to, this morning I went over to the JAG, and I spoke and told them the story, and it seemed to be fine. And they were just like, yeah, I mean, like, just go in there and tell the truth. And like, basically they said that if you guys say something about 31 Bravo rights, that Like I need to start thinking about a lawyer or something like that.
Just real quick, I'm going to tell you right now. If I suspect you even in a tiny bit of doing anything wrong, before I can ask you any questions regarding that, I would have to read you 31 Bravo. 31 Bravo is like your Miranda rights.
Okay.
I'm not reading you 31 Bravo. And that's why this whole rumor that Jake is spreading about telling people to go get a lawyer, it's way out there. I'm not giving you advice anyway because I can't do that.
Okay.
But I'm just telling you, if I suspected you of anything before I could question you on any of this, I would have to read you your rights. That's not in the position. You are 100% here as a witness right now.
Okay.
So, I will speak with Mr. Ferguson later today, but that's a whole nother issue. We're gonna, if you need a break at any point, if you want more water at any point, let me know. If you need
Let's
to
use the restroom.
Yeah, let's go. I'll give you a minute.
That's it.
You can leave that.
Do what?
You can leave that.
Are you gonna bring him back in?
Yeah, but he's gonna grab some water. I'm sure you're probably gonna want it a little bit. I'm serious though, if at any point you need to take a break, I know this is some tough shit for you.
Yeah.
Just don't hesitate to say it. I'm gonna need to start from the beginning and kind of go back through and clarify some details. You obviously know this was in May. Do you know the actual date? Any way to narrow it down?
I don't. It's early May. It would have been like the first week of May.
Okay. You guys are there. It's the middle of the day, and Eddie's supposed to be forward deployed, and you have no idea how he ended up there. I mean,
I don't know.
This idea that the Iraqis might have been bringing him some people, maybe he'd work something out. Do you think he had that sort of relationship where he might have been able to do something like that?
I don't know.
Would you put it past the Iraqis to do something like that?
To bring him?
Yeah, I mean, if he really had worked out something like that, you think they would have intentionally brought him back to Eddie knowing that he's going to torture or kill somebody?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the Iraqis were doing and if that was part of it.
All I'm trying to do is, I mean, obviously you were there, you understand the whole situation in country whole better than I do. So
I'm absolutely not. If I knew anything like that, I would tell you.
Okay.
100%.
So, this kid, 16 years old, somewhere around
That
there,
was my guess, yeah.
arrives, and it's all you see is the wound to his leg. Did it look like it was bullet wound, shrapnel wound? Was he bleeding pretty heavily?
I don't remember it being like, I think it was a shrapnel wound.
Okay.
And I mean, it was a shrapnel wound to the leg. It's not like, I mean, I figured that, you know, they'd fix him up or whatever and turn him over. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how much blood. I wasn't there for very long.
Do you remember seeing, I want to get an idea of what kind of wound he would have been working on. I mean, do you remember seeing actually blood there, or just unsure whether or not there was?
He was like, when I got there, yeah, it was like he was working on his leg when I was right there. So.
Okay. When he kind of like lunges up a little bit, was that the way you interpreted it? Was that in pain, like in agony, like as like Eddie did something to his leg and it really hurt and he's like coming forward to grab it, or was it more of like he was going after Eddie? Like, how do you interpret that?
No, it was. No, he wasn't going after Eddie. Eddie was putting like pressure on the wound, I think, and I think he probably just was in pain and just kind of came up at him.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just you can't fix him if he's like grabbing on and stuff.
Okay. And so you just kind of helped keep him on the ground so that Eddie can work. When you left, I mean, was there anything else that was out of the ordinary other than the fact that Eddie's sitting there working on him? And I mean, there's a group of people around him, but there's nothing else that was exceptional at that point.
No.
Corey, that's right, Corey Scott.
Yeah.
Was he just kind of standing over, or was he helping work on him?
Again, I can't remember I can't remember the medic who was there. It was either TC or Corey Scott.
Okay. What's TC's full name?
I want to say that they were both there. Corey Scott was there at the end. I know that.
Okay.
I don't know if it was TC. I want to say he was there in the beginning. I can't.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I completely understand that this was almost a year ago, so there's going to be a lot of details there like that, and it's fine. If you don't remember, you don't remember. I don't want to try to force anything.
Yeah.
TC, what's his full name?
BYRNE.
You left and you came back. Was there still a crowd around them, or was it just Eddie on the ground with this prisoner and Corey standing nearby? Or were there still a bunch of Iraqis that would have seen all this happen?
So, from what I can remember, I was over by the vehicle and I started walking back towards the Humvee and walked around and saw it was just Eddie, and I remember just seeing Corey. There might have been like, I don't know. I don't know if there was Iraqis over there. There were Iraqis when I left. There was a bunch of Iraqis, but I don't know where they all went.
Okay.
But there wasn't a crowd anymore.
Okay. Was Corey, if you remember, was Corey standing over him, just standing nearby? Was he like leaning over the body as well in any way?
No, he was, I want to say he was like away from the body a little bit. And he might have been like, I don't know exactly what he was doing, because he might have been like digging through a bag or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I shouldn't say like those kinds of things, because like I don't know exactly what he was
that's
doing.
fine. And look, you're clarifying that you're not positive. So
Okay.
It's when you tell me these things and that's what you think and that's what you remember.
Yeah.
It's obvious it's a year ago. It's obvious that your memory of this situation is not going to be exact. So I get it. My reports will reflect that this is what you recollect.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that.
Okay.
I gotta ask you some questions. I know these are not the best ones to answer, but do you remember what kind of knife it was?
Yes.
What kind?
I don't know the brand, but I know what knife it was.
Is it something that he carries regularly?
It's something that he carried regularly. It was his knife. He carried it on his back and it had a leather sheath. Because I had seen that knife before, and that's the one that he carried.
Okay.
And I remember the blade on it too.
So we're talking a full knife with a blade, not a folding knife, not like one of those like daggers that some people carry on their kits.
Nope.
Nothing like that. Any idea the make of the knife?
I don't know.
Approximate length of the blade or anything?
I would say it was like a shorter knife, maybe
Okay.
something like that.
Okay, so it's only a couple inches. It's not like a big.
No, it wasn't like a long knife. It was a short knife.
What's the handle like? Is it?
I feel like I'd be able to like maybe point it out if I saw it, but I can't remember the handle of the knife.
Okay. Do you remember what color or anything?
I don't. But it was his knife that he carried.
Okay. Do you remember where in his neck he stabbed him? Stabbed him on the sides?
Neck.
Right on the side?
Right on the side of the neck, on the right part of his neck.
On his right side? Right side?
The Iraqi's right neck,
Okay.
part of the, yeah.
Sorry, I just want to make sure that's what you said.
Yeah.
Do you remember Corey say anything? Did you say anything to him immediately after that, or did Eddie say why he did it? Anything immediately?
I don't think Eddie saw me.
Okay. Did you and Corey like exchange looks or anything like that? Or did you just turn around and go find Jake?
I left there with the impression that Corey was like, just like not like shocked by the whole, like he was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I just remember that because I saw Corey's reaction, or if like I just left there with that impression that Corey was like just maybe like panicky. I don't know, like what. I'm not sure exactly with that, but yeah, I left immediately.
Do you remember how Eddie was positioned in any way?
Yes.
How was he over the body, or like
He was on his knees.
He was next to the body?
Yes, next to the body.
On his side?
The side there, yes.
Same side that he had stabbed?
Yes.
So was he between you and the body? Like,
What do you mean?
Say Eddie's right here. You come around the vehicle. Is the body over here? Or is he the body like over here?
I can draw it out.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that.
Okay. Here's the building right here.
Okay.
Okay. So I want to say the Humvee was like this. Because there was a gate over here. It came in this way.
Okay.
Now, say it was probably like, this was where the person was.
Okay.
And Corey was over here. And Eddie was right here. So I was over. This is a vehicle. It's not a tank. It's a vehicle. And then there's a wall. There might have been a vehicle over here as well. I can't remember. We were shooting mortars over here. This is a big wall. So I was going back in between this scene. I think there's a hole right here. So I was coming in and out. And then I walked over this way, back this way, and I came around, and right here, that's when I saw Eddie on his knees and stab him. And then I went back over here, I believe.
Okay. Do me a favor. Put a little E next to the Eddie and a little C next to Corey, just so that it's clear when we look at this in the future which ones you're talking about.
And there was other vehicles over here, I think.
Okay.
But
Alright, that makes a little more sense. I'm trying to understand the position of where everybody was at. Did it seem like Eddie would, like, was the guy dead at that point? Was it completely clear he was dead? With Eddie fighting with him or anything like that, where he's got those last signs of life?
there was no signs of life at that point.
So he wasn't like holding down the body or anything. Eddie's a medic.
Yeah.
In your, and this might sound a little bizarre, in your experience, your deployments and everything, is there any possible way that anything he was doing could have been perceived as any type of medical assistance to this guy? Think about like tracheotomy and things like that. Is there any possible way that what you saw, and you could try and explain it, that he was trying to do something medically to assist this guy? I know it's a bizarre question.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. When you guys, so you went and told Jake, and you're not positive what you told him?
I wish I was.
Don't worry. Okay. It's been a year. before everyone left, he brought the entire platoon together.
The guys that were like maybe with the mortar team and like with the vehicles that were right there, but I want to say we still had another vehicle up front. I think there were maybe some guys over there, but it was basically everyone who was like over in this area.
Okay. Do you remember anybody else in particular who was there? I mean, were you guys all standing like right around where that body was? I mean, were you guys right in that general area?
No, so like there were guys like over here,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe like some guys in the building.
Yeah.
Um,
But when he brought you guys all together for his reenlistment.
Yeah, that was over here. And you know what? I didn't think about this, but somehow the body got from there to, I believe, over here.
Okay.
I don't know. I wasn't there for that.
Okay.
I just remember being, because I was working over here, and yeah, I was just in this vicinity, and at that point, and that's when Jake was bringing everybody in. Maybe over here, yeah. I'm not clear on exactly how that unfolded.
I mean, you'd gone back and forth over here, and you found Jake and whatnot. So you
Jake,
were.
I believe Jake. No, I found Jake in the building.
Okay.
And yeah, I told him that we needed to freaking leave. But yeah, so that's my idea, was that we were going to be leaving. So I was wanting to put up the mortars and get stuff put away and things like that.
Have you ever seen before where somebody? I mean, do you guys regularly do a reenlistment ceremony out in the field like that right after an operation?
I've heard of that before. Yeah. But it felt bad because of the event that took place. And I can't remember the words of the reenlistment ceremony, but I just remember thinking that that's not what this country's about.
Okay. Is it something where it's like a tradition, like after a big battle or something like that, where had Eddie done something like save a bunch of soldiers or something like that, or something heroic, I can't talk. Is that a situation where you would do it, or like was he trying to glorify the fact that he killed somebody?
I mean,
I don't understand all the traditions and everything of being a SEAL. That's why I ask.
Yeah, that's not a tradition. As far as I know, like there's no. I just think maybe. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure about the reenlistment ceremony. I'm not sure how that got started or who asked for it. I just remember that like Jake bringing people in, and then there was like this little reenlistment ceremony.
Do you remember during the ceremony? I mean, was the body still in close proximity? Do you remember being able to see it?
Yeah, it was over here somewhere.
Okay. And so, I mean, the same general area where the ceremony happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it was like right by like where the ceremony. I can't remember exactly where the body was or whatever, as opposed like where the ceremony took place and where the body was, but it was all around in that area.
So, did anyone else come to you and voice concern about that situation? Like anybody else who might have seen it?
So, okay, this is important. So, I can't remember when Dylan DeLay like stopped me, but he did stop me, and I think you could probably tell that I was like pretty shook up or whatever. Or maybe he had heard from somebody. I don't know how because he wasn't right over here, and he like came from over here, and he was like, "Dude, this is fucked up," like that kind of thing, and I was like, "Yeah," and I can't remember the exact conversation, but I got the impression that Dylan at that point knew, what Eddie had done.
Do you? Again, this is speculation, but in your opinion, do you think Corey told him, or do you think he had heard from the Iraqis, or do you think he might have seen it?
I can't speculate on that.
Okay.
I don't think he saw it though, because he was working over here.
Okay.
Couldn't see it from over there.
Anybody else who might have been over in this general area at all and could have seen it?
The only people I remember seeing, and there could have been like someone else over here. I don't know. I just remember Eddie and Corey.
Okay, that's fine, man. The Iraqis who were involved, like from the beginning, did you guys know them very well? Like,
I didn't.
You guys work with them on a regular basis?
I mean,
Like, did you guys know any of their names, have nicknames for them, any of that kind of stuff?
I didn't. I wasn't really involved with that so much, you know.
Okay.
That was not really my. I was more like, I mean, I was the LPO, so I wasn't like ever really working too much with the Iraqis.
Okay. Anybody who you would think, who might be able to tell us, like the Iraqi guys who brought him in, anyone typically in the platoon or anybody in, just anyone in general that might have a better idea who these guys were if we tried to figure out who they were?
I mean, the only person I could think that would know the Iraqis would be maybe Jake and Eddie.
Okay, that's fine.
Maybe Tom, because he would every now and then would kind of do stuff as Jake was doing other things, so he would, I don't know.
Okay.
But
No, fair enough. All right, so let's go forward to that night when you go and confront Eddie about what had happened.
mm-hmm.
Did he admit that he had stabbed that guy?
He didn't say, you know, yeah, like I stabbed him. He didn't say that,
Mm-hmm.
but I just felt like he was kind of admitted to it by maybe just. Sorry, I'm gonna have to really think about this conversation.
The next thing I was going to ask about the same conversation is, I mean, did he try to justify it?
No. Oh, well, you know what? He did say that they do a lot worse to us. So I guess by saying that, he was admitting that he was doing something bad to them.
Okay.
And I explained to him that that's the difference between us and them.
Okay. Did you actually see when he stabbed the prisoner?
What do you mean, like?
Did you actually see him stab him, or did you just walk up after the guy was already dead?
No, I saw him with the knife in the guy's neck.
Okay, so I know it's a little bit of technicality, but when you came around that corner and the first thing you saw, the knife is already in his neck. Is Eddie's hand on the knife, or is it as his...
Eddie's hand was on the knife, and it wasn't like a. I don't remember if the knife was like in the neck at that point or if it was out, but I did see him stab him.
Okay. Was it? Did you see like multiple stabs, or was it just like once, just in there?
No, it was a couple.
Okay.
I want to say it was a couple.
So
yeah.
I'm trying to think about this as like possible defenses, and that's why I asked the question about like any medical procedure that he might have claimed to have been doing. If he were to say that somebody else stabbed him and you just saw him pulling out the knife, is that possible, or did you see? But you say you saw him go.
No, I saw him put the knife in the neck.
Okay.
That's without a doubt. I just can't remember if the knife was in and he pulled out and then he stabbed him, or if that was the first stab.
If you saw him stab multiple times, that's what I want to establish. I'm trying to think what else. So Eddie, that night, I mean, if you remember more about that conversation, let me know. But that was just. I mean, he tried kind of to justify it, saying they do worse.
Yeah.
Did he tell you to shut your mouth or anything that day?
No, he didn't tell me to shut my mouth.
Do you remember what any of the other guys with the platoon said? Anyone else who brought up issues with it?
I mean, the whole platoon was like disappointed.
Okay.
It was like, yeah. I mean, at this point, yeah, I mean, he just put everything. We had worked so hard, and I just felt like when he did that, he just tossed it all out the window. And I felt like the guys, you know, felt the same way. And I felt like that, you know, we saw like the best and worst in the SEAL teams, and that platoon. We saw the worst in Eddie and the best in everybody else.
It's gotta be a tough feeling.
So, I think the platoon was in agreement that was, terrible.
Did you obviously, you told Jake something out there in the field. You got back, you told him that night as well what was going on. Did you tell him in detail? I mean, specifically.
I told Jake that I saw Eddie stab the guy.
Okay. And he knew the guy was there being treated medically for a leg injury?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So there's no question. I mean, from day one, Jake knew what was going on.
I mean, what do you mean knew what was going on?
Well, knew what the allegations were against what Eddie had done. He knew that you guys had seen Eddie do this from the very beginning.
Sorry, I just want to clarify what you're saying. Because I don't...
I want to... So...
You're saying that...
Part of this, my concern with this whole thing is that nothing got reported until now. And so obviously really what we're looking at is going to be Eddie. But the fact that Jake never sent this up, and it seems like everyone just kind of sat on this information for a long time, I want to make sure that Jake really did know from the very first day when this happened that Eddie had stabbed a guy who was a prisoner. Like, it wasn't that Jake knew part of the information. It wasn't that he had heard a rumor. You guys had actually reported to him what actually did happen.
Yes.
Okay.
And I can't remember if it was like, that night or the next night, but it was within like a couple days of 3 days or so. Like it was soon.
So unequivocally, it was definitely in May. So
yes.
At least in May, he knew what had happened.
Yes.
And he knew you guys had reported that Eddie had done this.
Yes.
Okay.
And I suspect that I'm not the only guy that had told Jake.
Absolutely.
So I think that Tom did. I bet you Corey did. Like, I bet you there's a good group of guys who talked to Jake about that whole thing.
You say that Corey's spoken up multiple times before. Has he come to you and told you when he's spoken up and said things, or is it just when you guys have done it together collectively?
What do you mean? Has he...
So obviously you've expressed to Jake and to some other people before when Corey wasn't present your concerns. I mean, you've taken this command, you've talked to different people, you've talked to...
Yeah.
Do you think Corey's been doing the same thing on his own?
I don't know.
Okay.
I suspect that, Corey was in that, Corey knew that I was talk to Bryce, the whole platoon knew, that I was basically going and talking, to them, and just kind of making sure that this stuff was stuff was happening and going the right way.
Yeah.
So he knew that stuff was being done.
Okay. So this is no secret over there. I mean, that Eddie's doing all this everybody probably over, at least in SEAL Team 7, well, everybody on the platoon, but most of those guys have a pretty good idea that, Eddie's doing this nonsense, right? Or at least has the type of character.
In the platoon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The platoon, yes.
Okay.
He did this, so.
You're not sure whether or not they actually took pictures? That anyone actually took any photographs while you're out there? It was kind of like you were posing for them, but...
Yeah. So I've never seen the photos, or I've never seen the video, any of that stuff. So
if it was, did you guys have your cell phones, or how would they have taken photos?
I don't know how they took photos.
Okay, but did you have your phone on you? I don't know what you guys are allowed to carry when you guys are in...
I didn't have my phone on me, no.
So they would have, if that hypothetically happened, they probably had some sort of camera.
No, they could have had... first of all, I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself, because I don't know who took photos, if they took photos. I think that another thing would be a video.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been rumors that there was a video or whatever, and I've never seen a video, so, but...
Any idea who was talking about those rumors?
I want to say it was, it might have been TC. Yeah, I don't. I could, no, it was because Eddie went up to TC at some point, like later, and said that he was, I don't know, something was happening with him, and that it was like because of some video or something like that. So, but I'm not privy to that.
So this thing about the snipers giving warning shots to civilians, just basically giving the heads up to protect them from Eddie. Any idea who the snipers were doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I want to say it was that was like an agreement, like a, not like that was just something that they were all doing.
Do you remember specifically who was doing it?
Dylan DeLay. I know he was Dalton Tolbert. I think was shooting warning shots to protect the civilians, and probably Shu, I imagine, maybe friends. So, and it probably wasn't just snipers. It was anyone that, like, it was the entire, like, the platoon was in agreement that, you know, like, we all saw the same way on this.
Okay. Are there any other specific times where you heard about, other than the time when Eddie said that he killed 4 women, that you heard about him just randomly killing somebody just to kill somebody?
Okay, so friends, I want to say that he routed something up his side with that. I don't know like what specific. Joshua Renz.
Renz, okay.
Renz?
Vrines.
I'm sorry, do you spell it?
Vrines.
And it's not Bryn, it's like a B.
It's just the B.
Alright, cool.
And he saw Eddie shoot a civilian. And yeah. So I know he's like pretty beat up over it, and just adds more to motivation to make sure that, you know, we get this right.
Is general consensus that everyone's kind of afraid of Eddie?
Yeah.
Is that why, I mean, you think if I bring these guys in, start talking to them, ask them what they know about Eddie, they're going to want to just clam up and not say anything, or do you think they're going to be pretty honest?
Yeah, we need to make sure that we're on the same page and that we tell the truth, because if guys are trying to hold back information worried about Eddie, then it's just not going to be good. So, I don't know. I'm not talking to the guys anymore. So, you know, this investigation's going down, and I'm just not going to talk to anybody else.
Okay. So, is there any sort of, when you guys were typically out in a situation like that, would you guys have had air support that had eyes on you at all?
I definitely think that's worth looking into.
Like, because, I mean, obviously at night it's probably a whole lot easier, but when you guys have like IR coverage and everything and you can see what's going on,
Yeah.
Was that a typical thing? I mean, was that a realistic expectation that you guys might have had someone had eyes on you?
I mean, it could be like it's possible, you know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not a JTAC, so I'm not. I don't know what the deal is with the sensors and where they're, you know. But I know Joe Arrington was, I believe he was the JTAC that day. So, yeah. He could.
Okay. I know he's going to ask you a lot of questions because he's going to want full names on a lot of these guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got a few things I got to run over just to make sure I'm hearing it right. Are you good?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I know we're going to keep going over it, and you know, like he told you about the defenses, we try and beat defenses before they're defenses, right? Basically, because we know that people are going to come up with bullshit, and we got to run it down before it ever becomes a defense that they can use.
Okay.
Right. So it's not we're doubting you. We're trying to make sure that we make our case as good as and solid as we can. Okay. So you said early May, and there's some stuff I just didn't catch, right?
I asked him right when you were getting water.
Okay.
Sorry, it's like first week of May.
Yeah,
General.
yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Cool. So you said first week of May, you guys were in Mosul, and you were the LPO. ISIS was fleeing because of the airstrikes and the mortars, and that's when you saw the Humvee with the Iraqi soldiers drive up. Is that?
Sometime in that in that day.
Do you remember a difference? If you can go back and remember, can you remember a difference between when you saw them pull up with that person, the 16-year-old or however old? Do you remember a difference in the daylight or dark day? Anything?
It was
like
daylight.
It was daylight then?
Yeah.
Was it daylight whenever you saw him stab him as well?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So daylight both times?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that you can remember in particular, like, I don't know when you guys would be out, like, if there's something during the day that you do, like at a certain time? I don't know if there's anything like, like the only thing I can think of is like breakfast or lunchtime is at 12 or something that you can go back and kind of gauge what time it would have been.
I mean, I was eating my lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. So I would say it was probably, I mean,
Yeah.
it was at different times.
Right.
I wouldn't like I'd eat at noon or anything,
Right.
you know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I was eating, after that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So when they pulled up with the guy, could you see obvious injuries to him, like to his leg or wherever he was injured at?
He was injured in the leg, and
Okay.
it looked like shrapnel.
Okay.
I just don't.
Okay. Was he like yelling or screaming or anything like that, or just kind of there?
No, he was just kind of like, I guess, moaning.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say.
Okay. Did you see blood or anything like that from him, like on his leg, or is it just obvious that's where the injury was?
I mean, there was some blood, but yeah, where the shrapnel hit him or whatever. So I don't.
Okay.
I just don't remember, like, I can't
Yeah,
picture
yeah,
it in my head
exactly.
right now.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, I understand. Do you definitely remember there were no stab wounds to his neck?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Because that would have been something that would have stood out. That would have been.
I would have seen that.
Right. That would have been an obvious injury that would have stood out.
Yes.
Okay. And he was awake?
Yeah, he was awake. He was moaning.
Okay. So he was making noises and stuff, didn't he? If he was making noises and moaning and doing things like that, obviously he wasn't having trouble breathing. Is that fair?
I don't know how his breathing was or anything like that.
Again, it's just going to show that, like, his state, that when he arrived, he was not where he was, like, on the verge of death. Like, that Eddie is the one who was responsible for this. Like, we're trying to address, like, are there any other possible issues that he had? And it's going again.
I know, but I just
Yeah,
can't see things I don't know.
Yeah, and
that's fine.
Yeah, it's completely fair. I'm just
Okay.
So sometimes you can't recall things, and sometimes little things will make you recall. And some of the questions, like, like the breathing. Okay, if there was an obvious airway issue or something like that, that would be something I think would stand out, kind of like being stabbed in the neck. If that was a defense down the road, that there was some kind of airway issue, that would be something I would think would be somewhat apparent, because you wouldn't be making a whole lot of noise and
You'd be grasping for your neck or choking or something like that. And
you see where we're going with that? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that would have been something that would have been pretty obvious or something that would have stood out. But so Eddie started providing aid, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So back to that. Have you seen Eddie provide aid to a lot of people before?
Mm-hmm. No.
Can you recall any other instances when he did?
I mean, we typically, I wouldn't say provide. I mean, we weren't like providing aid to a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that wasn't.
So would that be somewhat unusual, or kind of like just kind of weird, or?
Yeah, I mean it was unusual for
Okay.
sure. Like I.
Okay. All right. So.
Anytime we're providing we weren't getting shot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our guys did, but I wasn't there for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eddie might have provided aid on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say that TC helped out like a kid. Well, you know, they brought in a kid and he helped him out. So I guess I don't understand what you're getting at, but.
So that kind of goes to show like where it appeared that the Iraqis were picking people to bring to him. It's why would they bring some Iraqi kid to him to provide aid for an injured leg? You know that.
If this was a regular thing where Eddie was always providing aid to people they brought in, then that would explain why they brought him in. But this is unusual, and so this is a situation where all of a sudden.
I think that was like the first time, and I would have heard about it if it had happened before.
Okay.
So that was the first time that, pretty sure that happened. I can't imagine that happening without me, you know, knowing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. We covered a lot of that. Okay, so back to the rumors of the video. Do you guys keep, is there like a camera for scenarios out there where you may need to take a picture or something, or whatever it is, just the camera that you would have for operational purposes out there?
So are you saying did we carry cameras for operational purposes?
Yeah, like if you ever needed to take a picture of a detainee or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Who would have been the person responsible for that camera at that point?
Man, I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I should know that.
No, it's okay. It's no worries. I mean, I'm sure we can track it down somehow and see who it was, but
yeah.
Would it have been like a video camera or just a regular still camera, or do you know?
We had like small cameras.
Okay.
But again, like I don't know who carried them or.
Sure.
I mean, we weren't really. I guess I shouldn't say we would never do SSE. We did do SSE, you know, sometimes, but I just don't remember that being like. That wasn't something I was really concerned about, like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what the process to actually capture the pictures would have been on the back end?
The picture.
So like if you did photograph something, if there was a picture of a detainee or whatever it was that you were taking pictures of, on the back end, wherever you guys got back or wherever the camera went to, is there a process of what would happen with that camera? Like where would those pictures go?
Yeah, that would be more of like I would say that would be more like an officer type thing, like what, you know, with like, because they do like products, build products and stuff like that. That's not really my cup of tea, doing that whole thing.
Okay.
So I'm not like a picture guy. And
yeah, right. Well, even just the people who would deal with that stuff, that's a huge help for us.
Yeah, I would say probably one of either Jake, because he's doing the picture stuff for writing up the stuff, or maybe Tom McNeil. The other AOIC would be Hanson, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay, for the reenlistment, you said they did the reenlistment shortly thereafter. Is there a follow-up to the reenlistment that you know of when you get back to like establish it on paper?
I have no idea.
Okay. So basically,
that's the first time I've ever seen anything like that.
I got you. And that's what I'm trying to see. Maybe if they documented the reenlistment, maybe we can find out what date they actually did the reenlistment on.
That's true.
So, I don't know if that would be accurate, but you would think it probably would, but
maybe.
Who knows? Okay. I'm sure they follow that back up, so maybe we can find out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just we can identify a day, then we can identify whether or not you guys had aerial support, which would have eyes on you or whatever it might be, and
Yeah.
track down all these things.
Yep.
So when you and Eddie were talking about it afterwards, when you guys were
Back, yeah. The douche.
Yeah. How was his demeanor? Was he like being an ass about it, or like aggressive, or did he seem concerned, or what was your perception of his demeanor?
My perception was that he wasn't like, he was just kind of more like as a matter of fact about it. Like he wasn't like, yeah, he wasn't like an ass about it, I guess. Yeah,
Did he seem like he was being aggressive to you or anything like that, or like defensive?
No.
Okay.
He wasn't being aggressive towards me. I think he could tell that I was like, you know, upset.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, or I told you guys that it was like, hey, stop worrying about it. That kind of thing. So.
Is that when he kind of, when he tried to articulate it or justify it by saying they do way worse to us, or whatever that comment was?
I just remember that comment being said by him during that.
Is there anything that you can
stuck out?
Is there anything you can think of that where he would have interacted or had some kind of previous issue that would have made him, I mean, other than the obvious, is there anything directly related to him that would have caused a reaction like that? Like one of his friends being killed or anything like that by that particular group?
I mean, we all know people that have, have been lost, but yeah, I can't speak to that. I can't speak about,
There's nothing that sticks out. I mean, anything you guys have been through, why that would have set them off that day? Anything recently that happened in any way, whether it's something happened to you guys or reports that you guys got about other things that happened in country, or anything that sticks out?
Nothing sticks out.
Okay. And the 4 women, whenever that came up, that was in Badoosh?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And that was, I just want to make sure I'm following up right, that was, who was that would have better information on that? Was that Franz?
Do you talk about when he came and told me in Badoosh that bragging about how he had shot 4 women today.
Okay.
And I said, why the fuck did you do that? And he was like surprised, and he was like, well, I shot like warning shots or whatever. So. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else present for that conversation?
And I want to say that Dylan, because it was right by that room, and I want to say that Delay, because I walked in and Delay was in there, and I was like, I told him, like, he's like, yeah.
Sorry.
The other one where he just shot a civilian, that's the other one where
it's
Franz, right?
Yeah.
He saw that happen?
I think he did.
You think so, as far as you know?
Yeah, I think he did.
Okay.
I don't want to put words in his mouth.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I would talk completely. That's why I was clarifying that.
The one with the 4 women, do you remember, or can you recall who exactly was out with him that day? Or if I don't know if you remember that, who all would have been together that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who. I think Dylan was out there because.
Okay.
And I wasn't the LPO out there that day. I don't remember who was.
Okay. Okay, so you said there was a time, I needed to catch a name, I didn't have a name. When you flew home and you were on leave, this was after you heard that the snipers were shooting warning shots, and you flew home on leave. When you got back from leave, you said there was you told Brian something? Who was Brian? Was that?
Oh, so, okay. When are you saying that once we got home and I went home on leave?
Correct.
Yeah. The SCA, Brian Alazawi.
Is that the Master Chief?
He was our troop SCA, and I think he might have been a senior chief at the time. I'm not anymore.
Is that Al?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how to spell that?
Alazawi.
Yeah. Common spelling.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. And you were in the instructor course with who?
Friends.
Okay.
And then I want to say that Corey Scott was in there, but I wasn't sitting with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stoner was also in the platoon. He was in that course too.
Okay. Was he present for any of this stuff? Or would he have any information on any of the things that were going on?
Stoner and Corey Scott?
I know Corey does, but Stoner.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was like one of those things where I was like, be like, hey, I talked to this guy, I'm updating you guys on where this is at type thing. This isn't,
Right, okay.
It was out in the open.
Okay, cool. Alright, and I'm gonna run back to the scenario with the Iraqis. Did you guys have a translator or anything that was interacting with Iraqis?
We always had translators.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who our translator was that day.
Okay.
And because we would like rotate them out.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't remember seeing him.
Okay. Do you know who it would have been at that time? Or just any of them? Any of their names?
Yeah. I can try to remember the names, or I just don't remember the one that was out there.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's any of them's fine.
Okay. There was I don't know. This is like they had like real names, and then they had their translator name.
Right.
Barza, he was a translator.
Okay.
Siobhan was a translator.
Siobhan?
Yeah.
Did y'all take them with you, or were they locals?
You know what? Barza we would take out sometimes. Siobhan, I don't think we ever took out.
Okay.
There's another one, Joe. Sorry, man. I don't know their real names.
Okay.
I'm not much help there.
That's okay. It gives us a lead to go on.
Okay.
And that's a huge help. So,
okay.
Because if we can find those guys, then maybe they know the Iraqis they were translating to.
Yeah.
So it's a big puzzle.
Yeah.
So those are the pieces. So,
yeah.
And what's Rob's last name?
Bryce.
Bryce?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
B-R-E-I-S-C-H.
Okay. Figure it out. Alright. And you said that you never got the impression there was anyone covering anything up or anything like that?
No, I didn't get the impression that it was getting covered up.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know the correct what the investigation would look like.
Sure.
And I don't know, like, I just didn't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you ended up talking to some of these higher ups, did you get the impression that Jake had told them what was going on, that they had been informed about it before? Like when you talked to Rob, did he already know about the situation in some sort of general context?
I think he had an idea.
Okay.
I don't know if he knew to the extent that I told him because I told him everything.
Okay.
But so I don't know if he like was told like all the details like I told you guys, or if that was the first time. But I had a general idea that he knew. Maybe that maybe Jake did talk to him. I don't know.
Okay.
It's hard to say.
And just remind me, when was the first time you think you told Rob?
That would have been want to say that course was in February.
Okay. So it's been a little while. Okay.
On the knife, you said it was a leather. He had a leather sheath. They caught or kept it in. Do you remember? I know you say you don't remember the color of the handle. Do you remember the type of leather it was? Like black,
It was
tan, brown. Okay. And you may have said I don't remember, but was it? Do you recall if it was fixed blade or open blade?
Fixed blade.
Fixed. Okay. Do you remember what kind of blade, like serrated or straight or anything like that? Or if not, it's fine. But.
Yeah, I would like to say I could, if I saw the knife, I could say that was it or that one wasn't it, but just because I'd seen him with that knife.
Sure.
But it was his knife.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's it. I have as far as the details on that. The only thing I need to do is follow up on some names and get some names if you can help me with that.
Sure.
So, and if you don't remember exacts, it's fine. We can figure it out.
Cool.
So, so Rob is Rob. Reich. Okay.
He's the Troop 1 commander.
Okay. And TC is Brian. Brian.
TC, Byrne, B-Y-R-N-E.
Do you know his last name?
B-Y-R-N-E is his last name.
First name?
TC.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's easy. Tom?
McNeil.
Okay. And Master Chief Ward?
He would be the command master chief over at Group 1.
Okay, so he's CMC. You know his first name? Okay. And you said the snipers were Dylan DeLay Shoe?
Christopher Shoemake, he was a sniper.
Christopher
Shoemake.
Yeah.
And he was the other LPO as well. So we would basically kind of have like the blue and gold. So when I would go out as the LPO, and then he would go out and he was the LPO.
Okay. Dylan DeLay?
Yep.
Is that just normal?
D-I-L-L-E.
Okay. D-I-L-L-E?
Mm-hmm.
N?
Delay.
Oh, okay.
D-I-L-L-E.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're spelling Dylan. Do you know Brian's first name?
Josh.
Joe Arrington was JTAC.
Yeah.
And you know Stoner's first name?
No, it's Michael. Yeah.
Okay. And Mags?
Yeah, he's Magarachi.
Okay.
He was the Force Master Chief.
Okay. Was he pretty receptive to you guys when you expressed the concerns to him?
Yeah, because I was like, there's other people in the room, and so at that, initially, and so he was like a mentor,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And he said that, we were kind of like going just in generalities, like, yeah, I know all about it. I've already been told about this type thing. And I was like, how did you know about it? And then one of the guys was like, dude, he's Mags, he knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he, from what I understood, he thought that we were doing this because of Eddie's medal or something like that. But I don't know who said that. That is not true.
What's happened with that, his medal?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff.
Okay. Any idea? I mean, how long would you hear that he was up for
a Silver Star?
Yeah.
Well, I know that he had put himself in for a Silver Star.
Okay.
But I'm not real big into the whole medal thing, so I don't know I don't know what the stuff said or any of that. So I don't know what happened with it, but I think someone told me that somewhere along the line that Eddie was gonna get a Silver Star, and that's when So I just was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm good, man. That's
Yeah, me too.
It's it helped out a lot. It's cleared up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and sorry, I know some of these questions seem a little ridiculous that we're asking and the way we ask them. It's just,
that's okay.
it's,
Yeah, I understand.
we are trying to anticipate where this is going to go in the future and how some of these things will play out.
Yeah.
Let's go out here.